I was actually getting like a big influx of clients, then they stopped coming. I had like a bunch of financial stuff go on with the house. All of these things came up like all at once.
By the end of your life, the light was just so dim. Like, I don't know if I want to do that again. It was not about the money, it was about the time spent together and the joy that you brought. Have you forgotten some of that stuff in your relationship? There's something that wasn't cleared from a past life, like energetically, that's kind of, the word is haunting, but like lingering around in kind of your energy field.
Anytime I'm in my Akashic Records, I am very tingly, almost like goosebumps and stuff. And pink is my favorite color, so
Nice.
that resonates.
Hi, I'm Sam Franklin, intuitive, healer, and psychotherapist. In this podcast, you'll hear real life sessions where I open the Akashic Records, connect with angels, offer energy healing, and guide my guests through deep soul transformation. Each session begins by opening the Akashic Records, or the energetic library of the soul, to receive clarity and guidance. Next, I set sacred intentions and invite loving support from the angels, spirit guides, ancestors, and all other spirits who are here for the highest good and healing. Throughout these sessions, I explore soul purpose, soul connections, and soul gifts. I also examine the deeper roots of challenges, including past life lessons and how they shape the present, to help my guests reconnect with their truth and step into the life they're meant for. Whether you're here out of curiosity or on your own healing journey, I invite you to listen with an open heart. You might just hear something your soul's been waiting for. Let's dive in. So welcome. I'm going to start with opening your records and calling in the angels and guides, just to get us settled, get us grounded. While I do this, feel free to close your eyes if you want, take deep breaths, just kind of settle and ground your energy. It'll be pretty quick, and then we'll jump into things.
Okay.
So just going to take a moment, tune into my body. I'm going to open your records, which just looks like a book opening in my mind. And I'm going to call on any angels, spirit guides, loved ones, any spiritual beings that want to be with us today to deliver messages for the highest good, the collective good, for Jen's healing and process and growth. And we welcome any messages that need to be heard today. Thank you for joining us. It is done. It is done. It is done. Okay. Well, let's jump into it. Like, where do you want to start?
Um, well, so I am my biggest struggle, I guess, right now is I'm transitioning from like a 9 to 5 job to business full time. And past messages that I've gotten is a lot of just, trust and go for it. Like, we got you, right? But it's like every time I take a step forward to do that, something happens to kind of pull me back to, like it feels like, I don't know, is this a test? Or is this a warning? Like, not right now. So if we can go into guidance on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and when you say like pull you back, is there like it's an event that happens, or like what does that mean?
So it most of it is like money wise.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually getting like a big influx of clients, and so I was feeling really comfortable with making this transition, and then they stopped coming.
Mm.
And then I had like a bunch of financial stuff go on with the house. So it's like all of these things came up like all at once. So I didn't know if, again, is that a test or is it a warning to hold off?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I think that's a common thing that people wonder about. So yeah, let me just take a moment, just to kind of channel a little bit. Sometimes the messages start off slow and then we get going, but so normally kind of the image that comes up when I'm seeing someone like at a crossroads or making a decision is usually there's multiple paths. And it's interesting because that started to come up and then it just all converged into one very clear, very like big path. Um, like kind of your soul purpose. And it feels like whatever you're, trying to step out in, like that feels very aligned. Does that feel aligned for you, like as your soul purpose?
Yeah, yeah.
So that feels very clear. I'm just going to see if there's like blocks in this path or what maybe is coming up with any setbacks. Okay, I'm hearing like belief or trust in yourself. That
Mhm.
seems like to be the biggest thing. So it's like we're moving along in the path is kind of like what I'm seeing. And then there's like the path is clear. Um, but sometimes it feels like almost like I'm hearing like a mirage, like you're like, is there a barrier there? Like, is there a tree that's fallen down or a branch in the way? And like the angels and guides are saying, like, that's more of an internal thing. Like
Mhm.
it's not there, but sometimes you worry that it's going to be or it is there. And then I see like kind of like a halt, like you stop and then even like turn around and be like, should I go back? Like, is this the right path? Um, how does that resonate with you?
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of my blocks are internal, right? Uh, so maybe is there like a because fear is like the biggest thing that comes up from it. Like I have a family that I have to look out for. So that transition is very scary in that fact. But is there something from like a past life that like is part of that fear base, like that programming or maybe whatever it is,
Yeah.
epigenetics or whatever.
Yeah, let me just kind of tune in to see if there's something from a past life here. I'm going to ask like more specifically of like moving from, it feels significant to ask about moving from a 9 to 5, which just feels like what everyone's doing, to something that's maybe unique and more of a risk and kind of the fears that get in the way. The image that's coming up about a past life is like someone dancing in a field almost like, and there's like a fairy is what I hear, like very fairy like, very um vibrant and unique and just like doesn't quite fit in. um and like in that place she feels very happy, joyful, purposeful, like everything is as it is. And then all of a sudden the outside world starts to come in with their opinions and things like that. um and just there felt like there was like a real isolation in that life of like no one gets me, no one understands that like this makes sense for me. um and so there's like what's wrong with me kind of thought that comes up, like there's just a lot of like shame. And it's almost like at times she can combat that of when she's in that real flow place, it's like it feels great, and then kind of comes out of that place and it's like all of the doubts start to show up of like maybe the way that I live or what I believe feels wrong. Maybe I should just do what everyone else is doing because everyone else seems like that's where the way to go, and everyone says that like this isn't okay the way that I live. um and I'm just going to kind of see like maybe how that played out and if there's any like maybe vows or like things that happened because of that life. What I'm seeing and like sensing is that this, like you in this life, like your light was so bright, and then by the end of your life the light was just so dim, and kind of being like a real question of like, was that worth it?
Mm.
Because I feel like I was just kind of beaten down over the years, and I feel like I lost so much of my sense of self and my spirit that like I don't know if I want to do that again. It's not like I will never do that again. It's just like I don't know if that was worth it.
Yeah,
How does that sit with you?
yeah. Yeah, that's making me emotional.
Mm-hmm.
um yeah, and I do feel like I go through that too because I thought I didn't fit in a lot of my life. So um part of my messaging now is weird women. So
Yeah.
which has like a kind of a negative connotation, but it's like we all feel a little bit weird.
Mm-hmm.
uh, and
Yeah.
then we think that we're like the only ones.
Mm-hmm.
So my husband, um I know that he's kind of the one that like brings me back down to earth because like if I was left on my own I would just be flying and uh maybe burning all my bridges just to get what I want. But he's like my grounding piece. And also sometimes that feels like he brings like he does bring me down to earth, but it sometimes feels like he's stamping out my light, maybe. So is this I don't know how I want to ask this, but maybe like is this to bring me down? Like is he my lesson maybe to bring me back down to ground me? Or is this holding me back?
I would say, because as you were kind of describing it and talking about it, the sense was like one, like free spirit came up. Like you would be a free spirit, and that feels really good. And he can anchor you to kind of like the realities of life on earth, that's just like you got to make money, capitalism, all that kind of stuff. But there's a balance. So I'm sensing that like it's really feels nice to have a partner in this life, like someone there, because in that other life, it was like it was just you, and that felt so lonely. And so it feels really helpful to have that support. But as long as he doesn't start to become kind of a symbolic person of the outside world, kind of like you said, stomping on your light. And so it could be like that relationship could be super, super helpful, or it could be hurtful, just kind of like how it plays out, how you handle it. I'm hearing the word boundaries, like it comes a lot down to boundaries and being direct, and like how he could be helpful to you, of like when you do this, this is super helpful, it helps ground me, it helps kind of bring me back into perspective. When you do this, I start to feel like I'm doubting myself, and um I start to feel shame, or, kind of giving him direction, because I'm getting a sense that like he is like a little bit at times not lost, but like I think all of this is helpful, or I'm trying to be helpful, but I don't actually know.
Mhm. Yeah. And he's also very analytical too. So, um, however, I will say that he's open um, to a lot of my gifts. He's open to, I guess you could say, like the spiritual realm part of it. Um, so open minded in that sense. It's just like he'll say things, but then it's like actions don't look like it doesn't feel like he actually is as supportive as he says.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so one of our transitions is we were looking to move to a place that's more like I feel really called to it. And technically it was his idea to move there, but every this is also another one of those things. Like we were looking at the move and gearing up to do it, and then like it halted because of thing again, money wise, like getting having to pour into the house. Like we had our like foundation like crack, and then of course like wanting to sell the house, and then the housing market like takes a big drop, so it's like all of these things, like it felt like it was a barrier. um the question I guess in that
No worries.
um I know you're not supposed to ask like when questions, but part of it, like what felt better to me is to get rid of this house, to sell it. What feels good for him is to keep the house and have it provide income. Is there a way to have more guidance on like what would be the most beneficial, I guess, for us?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can kind of tune into both options and see what the guidance is around each choice, and then maybe that will help you kind of make your own choice. Something that I did want to add that was coming up was when you were saying like what he says and what he does is a disconnect, is like that you might need to help him connect those dots. Like he might not realize like what I just did there went against what I was saying. And that you might need to be a little bit, there just feels like a lot of recommendation of very clear communication of like you said this and that felt really supportive, and then I noticed that you did that and that actually felt like it went against that. Like I don't know if like you're aware of that. This is how like an action, how you could show up that would be really helpful for me in this way.
Okay.
Let me just kind of tune into that, the house. One thing that was also coming up about the house was just like a caution of like make sure you're not fleeing to try to serve some type of need that's not a deeper need, almost like running away from something, or you know, as long as it feels really like grounded and intentional on you, then like that feels like a right decision. But just kind of a caution of like this move will somehow change everything, and just like if it's only coming from that place, to just kind of back up and like think about it a little bit,
Mm.
or tune in more intuitively. So the two kind of, so what you're saying is like you would move, and then the question is whether sell or keep the house.
Mm.
Okay. So let's go to the selling and see what comes up around that. It's interesting because like I'm getting for you, you'd be like, that's money in our pockets. Where like you're saying for him, it's like, but that's income down the road.
Yeah.
So um it almost feels like the motivation is similar, but it's showing up differently for the two of you. And there's a fear, it feels like, and I don't know if this is true for you, but like what I'm sensing is like a fear of like if you sell the house, it's like a guaranteed money then. If you don't, it's like, well, like what if there's repairs? What if we can't get someone to utilize it? Like it's not a for sure money situation, and that feels scary and uncertain. Does that feel true?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and what I'm getting a sense maybe for him is like almost like I'm hearing like crunching the numbers, like the like spreadsheets, and like, but this is how it could play out, and this is how it would go. And um it's interesting because you say like he brings you down to earth, but in this situation about that, it feels like you're almost doing that for him of like, but that's an ideal situation, like we don't know if that'll
Mm.
pan out. We see about there's anything else about selling the house. There does feel like, and I don't know if this is like both of you or one of you or more than the other, it's like grief about losing, not losing the house, but letting it go. Like maybe there's memories there or there's significance to it. Does that feel like that's coming up at all?
Yeah, I mean, both my kids were born in this house, so
Mm-hmm.
um and like financially too, we have a lot of equity in it. And we got it for like when the interest rates were at like 2 point, whatever. So it's like I go so back and forth between the two. But also like financially, like in our financial situation right now is having that lump sum would be a lot nicer and would allow for more things to speed up as far as like the move too.
And
um
I would say, regardless of the option, one thing that's coming up that feels really important is to grieve the house. Even though, like, if you were to keep it, you'd still have it, you wouldn't be living there. And like I'm guessing you would rent it out. Like someone else would be living, like, it wouldn't be your space anymore. So there feels like it's important to like honor the memories. And when you move, no matter what happens to the house, whether it's some type of ceremony or ritual or just an honoring of like we've had these years in it and it's meant something to us.
right, yeah.
Let me see if there's anything else about selling before we go to the other option. I'm hearing nope. So I feel like that's kind of the main messages around that. Let's go to keeping the house. What I'm seeing is like a chart that goes up, kind of like showing like a symbolic of like more and more wealth. Like you're saying, like your equity is growing. Um, Almost like money is compounding on top of each other. Like you're growing equity, but also someone's paying for the house. Like it feels like the investment could be good over time.
Mm.
Um, but I'm also seeing that kind of symbol of the market where it's like that picture with like I think it's like a red arrow that kind of goes down. It's like squiggly, but like we don't know the market. And so that's the risk, right? Like it could be great, but
Mm.
it also could be like things crash and then it's now you're in a worse situation. See if there's other things about keeping the house. I also get like there's feelings about someone else living in the house that isn't you, like while you still own it. Is there any of that that's coming up?
um I mean, I haven't really thought about it too much. But like there is a fear that they won't treat the house in the same
Mm-hmm.
respects that we do. Like, there could be, they could trash it or, whatever.
Yeah. I'm hearing that like the reality is I think it's like something if you go that route, the acceptance is like probably no one would treat the house in the way that y'all do because they wouldn't own it. And so it is a different experience. And not that they might not trash the house. I'm getting a sense like if you interview people and get to know them, like you would probably pick like a good person or family or whoever. Um, but they wouldn't bring that kind of maybe the same life into the house. Like it isn't just about how they would treat the house physically, but also kind of energetically, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, and so that's not like a good or bad thing. It's just like as long as you're okay with that, then but if you're not, that would be something to consider.
Yeah.
Do you have any other questions more specifically about these two options or this choice?
Um, no, not necessarily about the house. Trying to think like what else I want to ask. Like maybe I did well with my husband, like have we made like past contact like in other lives?
Yeah, I'm hearing yes. I'm just gonna like tune in to see if they'll give me an example or some information about that. The image that's coming up is like in I don't know why the movie Titanic's been coming up more in intuitive stuff for me, but in the scene in Titanic where they're like below deck dancing and like and just having a great time, like that's kind of what I sense. That there's like a lot of joy there and there's just a lot of fun. And like one particular life that was kind of and I think why they're bringing this up is the significance is like you didn't have a lot of money, but like it didn't really matter. It was not about the money. It was about the time spent together and the joy that you brought and kind of as a reminder of like when we have money problems, sometimes that becomes the sole focus and
Mm-hmm.
we kind of lose sight of like, well, what else is in our life and what do we enjoy about each other? And so I think there's just kind of wanting to bring that back and just also a question that the angels and guides have for you of like have you forgotten some of that stuff in your relationship and kind of the day-to-day things of like something that you might have done together that you just really enjoy.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because the other day I actually woke up with the Titanic, the My Heart Will Go On song in
That's
in
funny.
my head. That's funny.
Yeah, that's great. Do
Um,
you want me to tune in more to like any other past lives or anything else with your relationship?
yeah, I mean, if there's other things that come up, sure.
Okay. Yeah, let me see here. Um, this image is like basically a wake or a funeral and like I'm seeing more like I don't know what your husband looks like and none of these images are always super clear for me but just like a man in a coffin and like grieving of the loss and for some reason that life that was really hard because almost like you lost him early and so there was just a real like we didn't get to live the full life together and there feels like a carrying over into this life like I don't know if you have some strong fears of like losing him. I think when we love someone obviously we have
Mhm.
that but if there's something that feels more potent about that at all in this life I don't know if that comes up.
Yeah, I mean, health wise, like, he does have some like health issues that it scares me a little bit. So yeah.
And I'm not saying like this is like a repeat pattern
Hmm.
in this life necessarily, but more so that like almost that fear is being brought over into this life. It's just more heightened because
Hmm.
that was such a painful experience because you loved each other so much and just like felt like your life together was cut short and that doesn't feel fair. And so there's almost like in this life, your soul is like, I really want to make sure that we experience as much as we can and we get the much out of this life, almost like trying to make up for lost time but sometimes it might work like work against you to like try to make up for lost time so there's like that balance of like really live in the moment with each other but if you let the fear of like what's going to happen become too much it's almost like you step out of the present moment. Does that make sense?
Hmm. Yeah. Um, So on the topic of like health, um, I do have some like health things that came up for me as well. Um, like autoimmune stuff. So I'm wondering maybe um I don't know, like am I causing this stuff? Am I causing it, or is it something that's maybe it's going to just be the way it is? Um I don't know if that's even a question there, but
Yeah, I think the angels want to reframe it in a way that feels different. Because kind of when you say when you cause it, I know what you mean by that, but there's almost like a self-blame kind of factor
Mhm.
that feels like it's there. And like a frustration maybe at yourself or shame. And they're kind of wanting more of the question of like, do you have control or empowerment on it? Is it like more of like this experience of the health is just it is what it is, or like you said, you have power to change the course of it? So I'm going to focus on that and see what comes up. So the answer what I hear is yes to a certain point. um I'm just because I kind of get a sense that it's possible that like this is playing out for some type of reason, so I just kind of want to tune in. It feels like there's something that wasn't cleared from a past life, like energetically, that's kind of, the word is haunting, but like lingering around in kind of your energy field. And
Okay.
so some of that could probably be cleared, and not like it's like doom and gloom and bad, but just like something maybe you've carried over a little bit. And then see the part that you have kind of. So if you clear that, that will be helpful. But there's like how do I explain this? Sometimes in the course of a health issue, once it progresses to a certain point, it's kind of like done the damage, if you will, in some way. So there's like a point where you can't go back to like beforehand.
Mhm.
It can't like completely heal, but you can work on it and heal so that it's, I'm like hearing like 75% better. Um, I'm just gonna see if they're like what those recommendations are, like that would be of how to work with that. One is clearing your energy field regularly. Like, are you someone that tends to take on stuff and it kind of gets stuck to you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of, it's almost like, and we might be able, if you're open to it, like see if you want to clear some of the energy from the past life. You
Yeah.
can try to do some of that. Cause it's like, it's almost like a ball of tape is what they're showing. And then energy from other people is like, it just gets stuck to the ball of tape.
Mhm.
So if we clear some of that, there's not as much stuff to get stuck to. And then if you clear your energy regularly, then that'll be better. So that's one thing, like on a daily basis. See what else would be helpful. The foods you eat. Um, and that feels really intuitive. So I'm not hearing like you should follow like this scientific data, because I think it's more of like what intuitively when I eat this feels better in my body and what doesn't, like energy wise. So that's something to pay attention to. Sleep in hearing. I don't know if you have any sleep issues.
I don't know. I mean, maybe restful sleep is an issue, but like I always get like a certain amount. Like I do prioritize that at least.
That's good.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm hearing like if you can especially clear your energy before bed, like that will be helpful. And then the last thing is like boundaries and saying no to things. Like, I don't know if you're a yes person or a people pleaser or like just really like to help other people. Is that true? Yeah. So some of that, again, it's about, I'm hearing protecting your energy, because if as it gets depleted, then there's not enough energy, like good energy, if you will, or whatever, to almost like replenish your cells and like rejuvenate you. So there's just not a lot of recycling of like good energy, because you're like giving it all away to other people, which is like great, but it's not coming back to you in a cycle. You're not getting as much back. And so it's like going out but not coming in. So some
Mhm.
of it is protecting it so you don't have as much leave you. But then paying attention to your relationships and see, are these relationships, an environment, work, whatever it is, feeding you also good energy? So like as you send some out, you're also getting it back. So that's something to pay attention to.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so yeah, let's see if we can clear some of this energy. What I'm gonna do is have like the angels, they'll just they do the healing. I just witness it and I'll kind of walk you through what they're doing. Okay. It just feels like this big black, like slimy kind of blob. Let me see what they want to do with it. Because it doesn't feel like you can just pick it up and move it. I think they're gonna transmute it. They're gonna transform it. So I'm just seeing like kind of working with this ball and like trying to put some good energy into it. So instead of it being like icky is the word, sticky, um, turn it into that good energy that we were just like talking about. So I'm seeing it like slowly start to change from black to like this white, bright light. So they're just going to take some time to keep clearing out all of the gunk. And then most of it's done, but there's just like a small ball in the center of the light and almost like a rubber bouncy ball kind of a thing. And so that they're actually that's like the source of it. So they're just like literally taking that out and they're saying like you don't need this anymore. This is really from a past life. So this doesn't serve you in this life. And so they're just gonna put it back into basically Mother Earth and let that Mother Earth kind of take care of it. And then fill this hole with a pink light, kind of representing you in this life. That like your energy in this life is what's going to fuel this ball of energy now instead of a past life that doesn't resonate or it doesn't serve you in this life. And now this ball is actually like a magnet for good energy. So it's actually working in that direction. Um, yeah, so that's where they kind of want to leave it. That's what you'll have now. How does that anything that came up for you, like thought wise or feeling wise through that?
Um, I mean, anytime I'm in my Akashic records, I am very tingly and like almost like goosebumps and stuff. Um, but yeah, like during that process, I was getting a lot of that. And pink is my favorite color, so
Nice.
that resonates.
Cool. Yeah, I was wondering that. I was like, thanks for reminding me because I was like, I should ask about that, like what that would
Yeah.
mean. Okay, cool.
Um,
Let me just. Oh yeah. What else did you want to say?
oh no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was
I was
gonna
just
see
asking
what
about
else, like how to, and then we'll wrap up here. Like how to keep feeding this good energy.
okay.
There's anything extra to make sure you do. It feels really about doing things that really bring you joy. I get a sense that you know what that feeling is when your soul is like, yes, this is aligned with me. Is that true that you know that feeling?
Mhm.
Yeah. So the more you do that stuff, I'm just seeing this ball just like growing bigger or just like continuing to like really be bright. So it's about relationships in your life, the reminding of that, what you feed yourself, your thoughts, food, um, emotions, what you're feeding your energy, and then also activities, what really lights you up. And that pink part in the center that feels really important. If that we keep that vibrant, that the other stuff will be good.
Yeah. So when it comes to like foods, I have a general idea, I guess, what is good for me, but also then I'm like, I doubt myself also. So what would be the most beneficial, like, I don't know, like muscle testing or as far as like so I can actually give myself confirmation, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny that you said muscle testing because that's exactly what I was thinking. So
Oh,
you're already on the right track. You already got the message yourself. But that would be what I'd recommend, some type of, whether it's like with your, I don't know what type of muscle testing you do, but like with your fingers, or what I saw was like what does a yes and no in my body feel like in my heart space, or like a leaning forward is yes and a leaning back is no, like some of that stuff. And what I'm hearing is like if you're really struggling in your body, like maybe it's a hard day to be in your body, that like a pendulum or some type of external or even pulling cards, something that feels like it will help guide you when you're really struggling internally, to tune into that.
yeah. Like I've done the forward and back before.
Mm-hmm.
Um, of course, when I'm at work, it, it looks a little weird, so I don't do it as much. But what's the, can you show me like what this one is?
Yeah, so it's I'm just trying to remember, but yeah. So are you dominant right hand?
I am.
Okay. So and I don't know if this matters, but what they're showing me is like, so you take your left finger and you do, yeah, your middle finger and your thumb, and then you take, I mean, you could probably do anyone, but I would do the same fingers on this side, and you just make a link, and then you ask a question. So an example to start with, which it's like, is my name Sam? And like if the answer is yes, I can't break it free. You
Okay.
know, is, is my name Frank? Like, right.
Okay.
So if it breaks, then it's like that's a no.
Okay.
So that's one way to do it. But the image that I was seeing was the leaning back and forth. And if you feel self-conscious, maybe doing a heart space one of like, what does yes feel like in my body? And just like noticing what that feels like. And then what does a no feel like in my body? So like you could just do that without really anyone's kind of awareness and standing up or moving around. And like you might be able to feel that in your body.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. All right, let's see if there's any last messages before we close up here. Sometimes they're like, "Oh, this is good to go." And that's what they're saying right now. So let me just close up your records in mind's eye. So it's just a book closing. Gonna have Archangel Michael come in and cut the energetic cord between us, so we can cleanse our energy, make sure we're not taking any energy that doesn't belong to us with us. And then I like to have Archangel Michael just wrap each of us in a bubble of healing. And I always like to check and see if there's a color associated with that. And it usually represents chakras. Oh, yours is orange. Um, so that's really with the sacral chakra, which is like it's really about not just creativity, but joy, playfulness. So kind of there's a reminder of like to bring really that into your life, that will be helpful for your energy. And I feel it kind of resonates with some of the stuff that we've talked about with your partner, right? Like the two of you, like really, you and your husband having that playfulness back in, but also in your life to really keep your energy vibrant. So that was kind of like the last message they wanted to give you.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thanks for doing this.
Yeah. So thank you so much. Um, I am like getting visuals that like we're about to go on vacation to the place that we want to move. And so to actually have that playfulness there, like as we're exploring the city and
Mm-hmm.
the surroundings.
Yeah. What a great time to do that.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here. If this conversation spoke to your soul, go ahead and like it, share it with someone you love, and subscribe to stay connected to more soul-led journeys. Your truth is sacred, your path matters, and you don't have to walk it alone. Until next time, be gentle with yourself.